Hola estudiantes, bienvenidos a nuestra clase sobre el mercado y las compras. Durante esta clase van a aprender vocabulario, frases e información útil para hacer compras en los diferentes mercados de Latinoamérica. Antes de empezar con vocabulario y gramática, vamos a aprender un poco más sobre los mercados.
In modern day Latin America, there are many places where you can go shopping, but traditional markets remain a primary destination for many locals and visitors alike. Local markets usually include both indoor and outdoor portions and allow vendors to rent out stalls or puestos to house their products. A traditional market in most Latin American countries includes vegetable and fruit stands, flower stands, meat, poultry, and seafood stands, and stalls that sell basic grains, spices, and herbs. Many markets also have stalls that sell clothing, shoes, cleaning supplies, personal hygiene products, and basic household items such as pots, pans, and firewood. Many markets have a more Western like pharmacy area, and others will have stalls that sell holistic medicine as well as supplies for religious and spiritual ceremonies. Most mercados have an area where prepared food is served at a very affordable price. This can be a great way to enjoy a delicious meal on a budget and have a more authentic experience. However, be sure to purchase food that is made to order and look for the stall that appears clean and where the person touching the food is not the same person handling money, in order to reduce the chance of any foodborne illness. In more popular tourist destinations, it's common to find an artisan market or Mercado de Artesanías nearby the local market. These markets are set up in a similar fashion and they offer more souvenir like products such as leather goods, textiles, ceramics, jewelry, art, clothing, and more. During your travels, you're likely to find yourself browsing and perhaps purchasing at both types of markets. Most towns have specific market days when the markets are open and in full swing. In the case of larger cities, the market is still open on non market days, but options may be limited and supplies might not be as fresh. Be sure you consult with Google or ask a local upon arrival when the days of the market are. And our final tip when shopping at the market or from vendors that you might encounter in parks and in the street is regarding bartering and haggling. Typically, any place that has an actual storefront with four walls, a roof, and likely accepts debit or credit card payments are places where prices are fixed and non negotiable. Open air market stalls and street vendors are used to bartering and haggling if you say no gracias to an offer. So it's not unusual for them to begin lowering the price in hopes to close the sale. That being said, please keep in mind that many of these people selling items at the market and on the streets are making these products by hand or farming them and transporting them on long and uncomfortable bus rides or in the back of a pickup truck to get to the market. Many individuals who sell goods at the market have not had the same educational and academic opportunities as other locals, be it due to racial discrimination or for other reasons. This doesn't apply to everybody at the market, and it does not mean one should pity them, but rather to value their efforts and pay fair prices for their efforts so they can earn a dignified living. If you decide to haggle or regatear, as we say in Spanish, we encourage you to be kind, respectful, and not overly aggressive, as what is a difference of a couple of dollars to a visitor may be much larger loss for the vendor than it is a gain for the purchaser. Also, if you don't want to buy something from someone, you can always politely say, no gracias, smile, and walk away. At some markets in different parts of Latin America, sellers can be more persistent to a point that it can be frustrating or uncomfortable, but you are not obligated to buy anything you don't want. So again, a polite, no gracias, muy amable, and walking away is usually the most diplomatic and efficient way to get out of a situation that feels overwhelming. Most people in Latin America are kind, welcoming, generous, and understanding, but economic need can result in pushing yourselves, so don't be afraid to be firm if you're not comfortable purchasing. In addition to traditional mercados, you can buy commonly used items at the following places: el supermercado, which is similar to a supermarket in the US, such as Safeway or Walmart. La tienda. Tiendas are small shops found throughout neighborhoods that are somewhat equivalent to convenience stores like AMPMs. They will usually have a lot of packaged food items, a small pharmacy, a personal care area, basic household supplies, junk food, lighters, water, soft drinks, and many will have beer and other alcoholic beverages. Some tiendas also have a small selection of fresh fruit and veggies, spices and firewood, but this can vary. Tiendas o mercados en línea. Due to an increase in technological advances as well as the strict lockdowns that were put in place in many parts of Latin America in 2020 and 2021 as a response to COVID-19, there are more options to order online and have products delivered to your home in Latin America than ever. This will depend on the country and city you're in, but if you're in a decent-sized city, there is likely a delivery service be through a formal website or WhatsApp number where you can place an order and pay with cash, card, or bank transfer.
Muy bien. Now that we've covered some background information about the local and artisans markets in Latin America, let's jump into the Spanish language lesson portion of this video. We will start by going over the different currencies used throughout Latin America. In your workbook, you'll find a complete list with the exchange rate at the time of publishing this book. Muy bien. Let's take a look y por favor, repitan conmigo.
Argentina, peso argentino. Bolivia, boliviano. Brasil, real brasileño. Chile, peso chileno. Colombia, peso colombiano. Costa Rica, colón costarricense. Cuba, peso cubano. México, peso mexicano. República Dominicana, peso dominicano. Uruguay, peso uruguayo. Ecuador, dólar estadounidense. El Salvador, dólar estadounidense. Guatemala, quetzal. Haití, gourde. Honduras, lempira. Nicaragua, Córdoba. Panamá, balboa y el dólar estadounidense. Paraguay, guaraní. Perú, sol. Venezuela, bolívar.
Muy bien, estudiantes. También es importante notar que en muchos países, aunque la moneda oficial no es el peso, se utiliza la palabra peso o pesos para referirse a su moneda. Por ejemplo, en Guatemala podemos decir pago 3,000 quetzales en renta por mes o pago 3,000 pesos en renta por mes. This can be confusing for travelers since the official currency is quetzales and formal prices will be referred in quetzales. However, you might hear someone use the term peso interchangeably, in which case, unless the speaker specifies peso mexicano, peso colombiano, peso argentino, etc., they're likely using the term peso colloquially to refer to their own moneda, even if its true name is Quetzal, Sol, Colón, etc. Excelente. Ahora vamos a ver frases comunes que se utilizan comúnmente a la hora de hacer compras en el mercado y analizar la gramática. ¿Listos? Vamos.
¿Cuánto cuesta? ¿Cuánto cuestan? How much does something cost? Repeat after me. ¿Cuánto cuesta la bolsa? Aquí tenemos nuestro sujeto, la bolsa, y el verbo cuesta, que viene del verbo costar, which means to cost. The question word cuánto, which means how, allows us to form complete questions. How much does the bag cost? Note that we do not use an auxiliary verb to form a question in Spanish like we do in English, which utilize do and does form questions. This is why Spanish puts an upside question mark at the beginning of a question in written format to alert the reader that it is a question. In spoken Spanish, question words and intonation allow speaker to communicate as they are asking questions as opposed to making an affirmative statement. Entonces, we can say, ¿Cuánto cuesta la bolsa? And the possible answer would be, La bolsa cuesta 20 pesos cubanos. Here we have our subject, la bolsa, and our verbo, cuesta, giving us the sentence, the bag costs 20 Cuban pesos. Now, what happens if I say, ¿Cuánto cuestan los mangos? ¿Cuál es el sujeto de la oración? Muy bien, los mangos. ¿Y el verbo? Excelente. Cuestan. Nuestro verbo es cuestan. Ojo, ¿por qué aquí usamos cuestan y no cuesta? Es porque nuestro sujeto, los mangos, es plural. Entonces, el verbo costar se tiene que conjugar por la tercera persona plural. When referring to prices, you will typically only use cuánto cuesta for singular items or cuánto cuestan when referring to plural items. It would be unusual to say cuánto cuestas, how much do you cost, or cuánto costamos, how much do we cost. Therefore, at this moment, just focus on mastering the use of cuánto cuesta and cuánto cuestan. Entonces, volvemos a la pregunta. ¿Cuánto cuestan los mangos? Los mangos cuestan 5 quetzales cada uno o 3 por 12 quetzales. What do you think this sentence means? The mangoes cost 5 quetzales each or 3 for 12 quetzales. Muy bien. In this next example, the grammar structure is the same. However, if you're unsure of the word for the item or product you're inquiring about, you can utilize demonstrative pronouns to say things like, how much does this cost? Or how much does that cost? Or how much do these cost? Etc. Typically, this would accompany you holding or pointing out to the object. No vamos a ver todos los pronombres demostrativos hasta básico 2, pero les vamos a introducir a un par de opciones hoy. ¿Cuánto cuesta este? ¿Cuánto cuesta esta? How much does this cost? Usually the object is fairly close to the speaker when we use this phrase. ¿Cuánto cuesta ese? ¿Cuánto cuesta esa? How much does that cost? Usually the object is somewhat far away from the speaker, but still not very far. ¿Cuánto cuesta aquel? ¿Cuánto cuesta aquella? How much does that cost? Usually the object is farther away from the speaker and likely out of reach but still visible, even if it's from a distance. Note that there is both a female and masculine version of these pronouns. This is for when you know the correct name of the object that you're referring to. However, if you're not sure what the name is or what's it called, you can use a default masculine demonstrative pronoun, este, ese, aquel, and pick things up, point out to them, or signal them to something farther away in order to communicate your point effectively at the market. Once the vendor has the item you're looking for, you could say, ¿Cómo se dice? To ask, how do I say that? How is it called? And they will likely give you a friendly response to teach you the name in Spanish. Muy bien. Let's look at our next grammar point. ¿Cuánto vale? Es otro ejemplo muy similar a cuánto cuesta y funciona de la misma manera a nivel gramatical. Vale viene del verbo valer, which means to be worth. Entonces, you can say, ¿cuánto vale la canasta? How much is the basket worth? Or, ¿cuánto valen los tomates? How much are the tomatoes worth? But it's really more like saying, how much does something cost? Vamos a ver unos ejemplos más. ¿Cuánto vale el carro rojo? ¿Cuál es el sujeto? El carro. ¿Y el verbo? Vale. ¿Y nuestro question word? ¿Cuánto? Excelente. Now let's look at a possible response. El carro rojo vale $5,000. The red car is worth $5,000, or the red car costs $5,000. Here our subject is el carro and our verb is vale. Veamos otro ejemplo. ¿Cuánto valen las chuletas de cerdo? ¿Cuál es el sujeto? Las chuletas de cerdo. ¿Cuál es el verbo? Valen. Muy bien. Una posible respuesta sería: las chuletas de cerdo valen 30 bolivianos la libra. The pork chops are worth 30 bolivianos a pound, or the pork chops cost 30 bolivianos a pound. Note that el segundo ejemplo, como las chuletas está en plural, necesitamos utilizar valen y no vale. ¿Cuál es el precio? What is the price? If we're going to use a plural or singular noun, this phrase is still the same because we are using el precio as a noun. Let's take a look at some examples. ¿Cuál es el precio de esta zanahoria? What is the price of this carrot? ¿Cuál es el precio de esas remolachas? What is the price of those beetroots? ¿A cuánto está el, la? How much for? Since we're using the verb estar and our noun will be the thing, vegetable, or fruit we want to buy, we're going to conjugate the verb estar. In singular, it will be está. For example, ¿a cuánto está la papa? How much for the potato? In plural, we will say están. ¿A cuánto están los ejotes? How much for the green beans? At the end of our shopping, we can say, ¿Cuánto le debo? How much do I owe you? ¿Cuánto te debo? How much do I owe you, but in a more informal way? ¿Cuál sería el total? Or ¿cuánto sería el total? Which means what or how much would be the total.